All right, good evening. It is Tuesday, September 27th, 2022 at 7:05 p.m. and I call this regular meeting of the Dickinson City Council to order. Item 1, call to order and certification of quorum.
Mayor Skipworth,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Simpson, Councilwoman Simpson.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Brantley.
Here.
Councilmember Decker.
Here.
Councilmember Linton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you'd move on to item 2 and please rise as Councilman Brantley leads us in the invocation.
Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for being here in our presence, God. We thank you for leading us and guiding us, God, as we make decisions on behalf of your people. God, we pray that you would give us the wisdom and knowledge, God, that you would lead us in all directions. It's in your Son, Jesus' name we pray and for his sake. Amen.
Thank you. If you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, first to the United States flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. That moves us on to item 4, proclamations and awards. We do have one very special proclamation this evening. As some of you are aware, our Public Works employee, Brad Anders, died several weeks ago. And that's left a hole here in our City of Dickinson community. And tonight we do have a proclamation to read. And I know we have some members of Brad's family here this evening. If you would join me up at the front if you'd like to, and we will deliver the proclamation. Whereas the City of Dickinson lost an incredible public servant on Monday, August 22nd, 2022, Mr. Brad Anders. Whereas Mr. Anders was a valued member of the city's Public Works Department and a recipient of the city's inaugural Shine Awards, receiving the Shine Award for Excellence. Brad was recognized for his unprecedented commitment to providing excellence in every aspect of his daily work. Whereas Mr. Anders' genuine spirit showed in everything he did for the city. Brad was known for his willingness to do whatever it took to ensure that he was doing his part to make the City of Dickinson a better place to live. Whereas Brad will be remembered for his dedicated work ethic and positive attitude and will be tremendously missed by all. Whereas the Public Works crews will carry his torch by promising to give their daily work the Brad Anders seal of approval by putting genuine effort into every job, no matter how big or how small, and providing excellent customer service. Whereas, in recognition and remembrance of Brad, the city will award a Brad Anders Star of Excellence each year to the Public Works employee who honors his spirit. Now, therefore I, Sean Skipworth, Mayor of the City of Dickinson, in the great state of Texas, on behalf of the Dickinson City Council, do wish to honor the service of Brad Anders to the citizens and employees of the City of Dickinson. We express our gratitude to Brad Anders and his family for his dedication in Dickinson, and do hereby proclaim September 28th, 2022 as Brad Anders Day. In witness thereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of Dickinson, Texas to be affixed this 27th day of September 2022. And we're going to get this is a plaque as well. So we're going to give you a plaque version of it. We just didn't have time to go together.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5, announcements and presentations. Announcements concerning items of community interest. No action will be taken or discussed. Council member comments regarding items of community interest in accordance with Texas Government Code Section 551.0415. We'll start with item 5A, council comments. Councilman Simpson will be joining us, so I'll give him a little bit of time. We'll start with Councilwoman Simpson. We'll see if we can go down and see if he makes it.
All right. Give him a lot of time because I've got a lot of comments. Keep Dickinson Beautiful and the Dickinson Historical Society coordinated 41 volunteers for a cleanup of the Dickinson Cemetery last Saturday. The volunteers cleared 50 cubic yards of weeds, brush, and limbs. Special thank you to the Public Works Department for picking up all the green waste recycling. I had the pleasure of attending the Dickinson Chamber of Commerce End of Summer Great Gatsby Soiree. Thanks to the Chamber for organizing this great event and to the Cedar Oaks Inn for hosting on your beautiful property. The event was a great time with live music featuring Mr. Fred Litton. Don't forget there's a Chamber Farmers Market event this Saturday, October 1st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We hope you can join us at the Bow Wow Meow Bayou Luau on Saturday, October 1st at the Bayou Animal Services Center hosted by the Bayou Friends Forever. Donations are accepted at this awesome event that will feature animal adoptions, fire dancers, silent auction, raffle items, vendor booth, authentic Hawaiian cuisine, as well as some live music from the Bayou Gypsies. We hope you can make it. Dickinson Optimist Club will be hosting their annual golf tournament fundraiser event at the Bayou Golf Course in Texas City on October 20th. Teams and sponsors are needed, and the proceeds benefit graduating Dickinson High School seniors. You can find more information on their Facebook page. There will be a plant swap at the Railroad Depot on October 8th from 8 a.m. to noon. Bring a plant, seeds, or clippings to exchange with other plant enthusiasts at this free event. Finally, the Dickinson High School Homecoming Parade will take place on Monday, October 17th at 5:30 p.m. It will begin at Crayons Junior High and travel 517 to San Vitanza Stadium, where there will be a community pep rally to crown the homecoming king. The homecoming game will take place on Friday, October 21st. If you need a homecoming mum, consider buying one from our FFA Floral Design students. You can find more information about ordering on their Dickinson FFA Facebook page. Thank you.
That wasn't that long. Pretty good. All right, Councilman Wilson.
I have nothing. Not after that.
Well, that was, okay. Councilman Brantley.
Yep. I want to express my condolences to the Jonte Fierce family, number 34 with the Dickinson Gator football team, who tragically lost his father this past week. So the Dickinson Gator Booster Club is working on donations or is taking donations on behalf of the family. If you would like to donate, you can go to www.dickinsongatorpride.com /join-now and make a donation on behalf of the Fears family. National Night Out is on Tuesday, October 4th. Check with your local neighborhood or HOA to see if your neighbors have anything planned. Officers from the DPD will be out in the community, as well as some city staff and council members who will be joining in on the fun around town. There'll be a sneak peek of the Holy Trinity Episcopal Strawberry Festival on October 22nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Grab some famous homemade strawberry shortcake, view the craft and nonprofit vendors, and have a good time at this great event that we are glad to have back. Free hazardous waste and electronics recycling services are now available for Dickinson WCID residential customers at the Stella Roberts Recycling Center in Pearland. This service is offered through our partnership with Keep Dickinson Beautiful. Basic recycling is allowed here, and special items like paints, appliances, batteries, and cooking oil are also allowed. Learn more from Dickinson WCID's website. I would like to recognize this week Mrs. Shauna Bellows and Marilyn Bellis, as well as the Community Development Department and Police Departments for the great work they've done on behalf of the city and the residents of Creekside Apartments. So I know you guys have done a fantastic job there. It has really monopolized your time, and you've done some great work over there. So thank you very much. I also would like to recognize the volunteer servants who have worked very hard on preparing budgets for Bayou Animal Services, Dickinson Management District, and the Economic Development Corporation. Thank you to those volunteers for the time and effort that you put in preparing those budgets. You guys have done a great job, and I appreciate it. And then lastly, I would like to at least make a comment and request to work with Theo and the city staff on developing an ordinance, or not developing an ordinance, looking at our ordinance, our noise ordinance. I've talked to a couple of residents, and we have some commercial locations that have been completely disrespectful and have a complete disregard for their residential neighbors. And I think that the city needs to address it. So I would be happy to work with city staff in amending that ordinance. That is all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Decker.
Good evening, everyone. This weekend, Festival Lights moved all the buildings we had planned on moving out to Paul Hopkins Park. There are a few that will be moved later, keep a close eye on. But that was a surprise because every time that I can remember, we had to mess with the rain and the mud and everything else. It's unbelievable how quick everything went because it was dry and hot. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Linton.
Good evening, everybody. Just a couple of things. Last week, I attended the Galveston County Mayors and Council Members Association business meeting at the Opus Ocean Grill in Clear Lake Shores. Also, as Councilwoman Simpson stated, this past Saturday, I attended the Dickinson Chamber of Commerce's Great Gatsby Summer Soiree at the Cedar Oaks Bed and Breakfast, and my band Function performed, and we survived. I was a bit nervous. It was the first time a lot of people in the city were going to see us perform, but we've been doing it for about 20 years, and I really appreciate the Chamber of Commerce giving us the opportunity. Saturday, the 1st of October, I will be attending the Bow Wow Meow Bayou Luau. I got it this time. On Saturday, October 1st, from 5 to 8 p.m. at Bayou Animal Services. And I will also be performing for free again with another band that I helped get for them. And so we'll be performing from 5 to 8, and the event is from 5 to 8. I hope everybody comes out. They've Mr. Ed Boakes, Director Ed Boakes, has put a lot of time and effort into this. And they're going to have fire dancers. And let's see here. I want to be accurate with this. I'm going to have to wing it. So they're going to have fire dancers, luau dancers, and also Mr. TJ Alds of I-45 Now will be doing the announcing. And they're going to have groups of 10 going through the shelter, showing them the animals. And if you take a tour of the shelter, you will be eligible for a ticket for a raffle for a $700 generator that was donated by Weeks Service Company out of League City. So we appreciate them donating that. And if anybody has a popcorn machine, we're looking for a popcorn machine. As Councilman Brantley had mentioned, I'll be attending National Night Out on October 4th, and contact Officer Tony Valdez with the Dickinson Police Department if you have any questions. Lastly, I will be attending the TML Annual Conference and Exhibition on the 5th through the 7th of October. And last thing I have is congratulations to my fellow NASA coworkers in the DART mission. We scored a bullseye last night. We hit Dimorphos, and I love numbers, as everybody knows. 306 days, 11 million miles, impact velocity of 14,000 miles an hour. Dimorphos is approximately 560 feet in diameter, and the spacecraft, the DART mission spacecraft that hit it, is approximately the size of a vending machine and weighs 1,200 pounds. That's a pretty good bullseye. So anyway, congratulations to them, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Now, Fred, tell the truth, y'all just like to crash expensive things in space, right? For fun?
That is one argument.
That's one perk of the job,
Yeah,
right?
that's well, you know, you've seen the movies Armageddon and, you know, Direct
I mean,
Impact.
I know
so-
Bruce Willis retired, so I guess
Right,
we need
yeah,
to do this
we didn't
now,
need Bruce
so.
for this. We had the astrophysics department working on this. so.
Okay. I did watch that last night. Some of the staff was hanging around my office before a meeting, and we several of us took it in. It was very abrupt, as you might imagine, basically. Yeah. I want to welcome everybody tonight as well, and several people have already mentioned several things that took place this past couple weeks, but I also did go to the chamber soiree, and I would say it was a great time. And I'd add to that, you know, if you have not seen the Cedar Oaks over there, it is a fantastic venue just to stay for a weekend, to host an event at. It is really, really tremendous, folks. If you haven't seen it, you need to find an excuse to go out there and see it, because it is a great, it's a really awesome place, kind of like you're transported back in time. So I really would really would urge y'all to find an excuse to go out there and do something. Make your girlfriend, your husband, your whatever happy, right? Anyways, it's a great time. Also like to thanks, kind of to piggyback on Councilman Brantley, thank staff for putting together what I think is a good budget, and for helping with various things throughout the week, issues and stuff like that. Y'all work very hard, tirelessly, and when things get tough, we do a good job of working stuff down and getting it taken care of. So I definitely appreciate that. We know how hard y'all work, and hope everybody does take care of themselves as well. I'd like to kind of add something on a more personal note. I on Saturday, after leaving the soiree, I found out that a friend of mine and a former coworker died very, very suddenly at a very young age, younger than myself. And I don't know that anybody knows exactly what happened yet, but I do know that he had some issues in his life and had some problems with substances and things like that. And I really just want to kind of take this as a human moment to say that remember that there's somebody out there that cares about you, that doesn't want to see you doing things that are hurting yourself, putting yourself in a bad situation, and to remember that, and also for everybody else to think of others and remember that people are going through a lot of things, and that we really don't know what's happening in somebody else's life, and to take that to heart as you go through that. Life is a short thing, and we're all here to do whatever we're all here to do, and we want that to happen. So, please take care of yourselves, and if you're struggling with things and you're working hard to make things better for yourself, keep at it, because everybody's proud of you, and you're doing a good thing for yourself. So, anyway, with that said, I'll say again, thanks everybody for coming. I will add one last thing. We are nearing the end of hurricane season when it's not technically over quite yet, but we are kind of nearing that point, and we can take a breath here in about a month or so. Until next year. But I would ask everybody to kind of think and pray about those folks in Florida, because it looks like they're about to have a very similar situation to what we dealt with 5 years ago out here with Harvey. So anyway, I hope that we're kind of with them as they go through that. Okay, our next item is the HJC update. Councilman Simpson is not here, but it is in your packet, so you've had a chance to look over that. So please do so, and I know he'll be here. We can certainly talk about it next week or next meeting, if anyone has anything urgent on that. But we'll move on to item 5B, the city manager update. I'll turn it over to our city manager, Theo Melanson.
Mayor, council, thank you very much. We've been very productive. Thank you all so much for getting us through our budget process. We're going to come out the other side with some major accomplishments in the next year. One of those accomplishments that we kind of baked in some funding was something that was alluded to in council comments, and that was the work being done by our staff in regard to Creekside Apartments. Reason why we have set aside some funding is obviously when you're dealing with a property as large as Creekside, and if we're looking at ameliorating the situation on that site, is going to be quite pricey. As such, we've been putting some money aside in the budget for that. What I wanted to do was to take a moment and thank some staff members who have been working very diligently on behalf of the city and the residents of Creekside. Last night was the Building and Standards meeting where it was brought to the board to condemn 21 buildings for substandard living conditions. And Building Standards last night voted to begin a condemnation process on those on that property. Of course, all of this there are long processes, due process, and things of that nature that's involved. So it's not a done deal, but I did want to take a little bit of time and just to get to this point today, to where we can actually be making appreciable steps toward making the living conditions there better, or to hold the owner accountable if not. And those people are our buildings department, that would be Jeff Paulman and Herman Myers, code enforcement, Marilyn Bellis, and the Police Department, helping to provide information regarding the nuisance issues in the area. Captain Oscar Stoker, Sergeant Greg Trantham, and Tondra Courier. We also had from the Volunteer Fire Department providing information, Keith Morgan and Doug Spalding. From our EMS department, Lori Glidden. Animal Control, helping to provide the logistics necessary for the displaced animals. Ed Boakes. Other city staff that helped to prepare for such a large hearing, and it was massive. In fact, the PowerPoint itself was over a gig in videos, and it was a whole gigabyte worth of videos and pictures of the situation there. And to help put that together were Anna Earps, Ann Williams, and Yvonne Briscoe. I did want to take a moment to thank Shauna Bella, who was really kind of a point person in coordinating all of those things. Our city attorney, Justin Pruitt, and last but not least, our communications director, Jeree, who did an amazing job to bring people together so their voice could be heard as to what they were having to deal with. And so just wanted to thank all of those people. I hope what you see is that to put together 21 buildings to go up for condemnation in one night, and to show the evidence there. It took many departments coordinating together over many months to get to this point. So just want to take a moment and thank them for that. Next up, I just want to let everyone know that West Gum Bayou project, well over $4 million flood mitigation project that's around the high school and middle school on the east side of town is coming to a near completion. The contractor is going at a great pace. It's coming along very well. The detention ponds are looking great. So I just want to let you know that project is moving along swimmingly. Regarding Oak Park Drive, I believe that we're nearing about 50% completion of that project. It's moving along at a pace.
Just 2 months over schedule, right?
Well, it was supposed to be done yesterday, but we're about
Yes.
halfway there
Okay,
right
great.
now. Right, which is about right on time, correct, sir. But we are working through some issues with the contractor and subcontractor on that project. We are actually waiting on a resubmittal of the construction schedule on there, and we're looking at what may be some liquidated damages as part of this process as well.
Yeah,
So
to be clear, that's that if those aren't in the know, that's really not our fault more so much as the contractors.
Yes.
But yes.
Correct. So we'll be looking at that in the near future. Lastly, just wanted to let council know that our project on our land use plan and Unified Development Code and the addition of some of the mapping tools that we're going to be unveiling over the next about 12 to 15 months caught the attention of the American Planning Association. And so I've been invited to the Texas conference to discuss what Dickinson is doing as a best practices city for land use planning and revamping of the Unified Development Code, tying into the mapping using ArcGIS. So pretty excited to do that. That'll be October the 20th in El Paso. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 6, public comments. Members of the public are invited to give comments at this time, lasting not longer than 3 minutes. Comments may be general in nature or may address a specific agenda item and should be directed at the entire council, not individual members of council or staff. Any speaker making personal attacks or using vulgar or profane language shall forfeit his or her remaining time and shall be seated. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the city council may not deliberate. We do have one comment signed up this evening, Brenda Boyce. Thank you, ma'am. If you would, please just state your name and your address.
Brenda Boyce, 4719 38th Street. I'm at the corner of Colorado and 38th. I was here in April, and I was assured by the city manager that I would have a four-way stop at my corner. And I still have people running through that stop sign on 38th. And now that I haven't been here all summer, I wanted to give you guys a rest because I'm really good at being an irate citizen when I want to be. Walter and Mr. Decker, Lewis can attest to that. There's a lot of school buses going through there now. There are still people running that one stop sign. I need four-way stop signs on that corner. People come in off of 517 and they're doing 50, 60 miles an hour by the time they get to the stop sign up at 37th. There's no stops between 517 and 37th. They barrel through there when they slow down for the four-way stop a block behind me, then they still are barreling past the intersection that I live at. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a kid get killed there. We've got twice the school buses this year that we've ever had. And I'm sure all of you are aware of how many more students are going to the Dickinson School District now. You've got huge amounts of kids here. My neighborhood is a lot of young families with young kids, school buses running up and down several times a day, and there's been 3 fatalities there in about 15 years. And it's because people keep running that stop sign. So please, just make it a four-way stop. Put up a camera on the corner of my house. Put one up in my pine tree. I'll do whatever it takes to help you guys decide to make it a four-way stop. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And I know it looks like someone's going to follow up with you about that. Okay. That's all the public comments we had. So we'll move on to item 7, the consent agenda. The following items are considered routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion on these items unless a council member requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed after the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve the consent agenda by Councilman Wilson. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Brantley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to we have no item 8, item 9, action items for consideration. Item 9A, discuss and consider a request for a 6-month extension of the specific use permit for boat RV storage, sales, leasing, and service establishment in the general commercial zoning district for approximately 9.34 acres located at 650 FM 646 Road North and legally described as abstract 1, lot 145, Thaman's First subdivision. Do we have a motion to? The motion by Councilman Wilson to approve. Is there a second? A second by Councilman Decker. I believe we have Ms. Yvonne Briscoe to present about this initially.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that y'all were aware of what this was. So this property is located on 646 south of 517. It underwent a zoning change back in May of 2021. It was approved for the specific use permit for boat and RV storage October 12th of 2021. And basically what the code says is that the use of the property has to be commenced within 1 year of that special use permit being approved. Commencement means being permitted. They've gone through site development, which this is the site plan that was approved at Planning and Zoning Commission. It was not approved at Planning and Zoning Commission until June 21st. The applicant came back multiple times to pre-development, trying to work out issues to get staff approval. And now they've got building permits in that are, pending review from staff. And their specific use permit is about to expire, which is why they've submitted this extension request.
All right, thank you. Any discussion or comments?
Yeah, the applicant is here if y'all have questions for them as well.
Okay, they're here as well.
Yes.
And I think also Landis, do you have something to present on this as well? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Landis Adams, the Deputy Director for the Economic Development Corporation. This current SUP extension really doesn't conform with the EDC at this time. It's not a conforming sales tax contributor. We don't see that this is something that would probably fit in that particular acreage. There's no employee incentives that we could actually help them with. just by going by the plans and the plat and everything that they've submitted. It's been, basically over a year, and at this point, staff just does not recommend to approve this extension at this time.
All right, from the EDC is what you, correct? Okay, understand. There are other comments or questions? Councilman Simpson?
Yes. I guess would like a little more elaboration on what the holdup was that allowed the SUP to expire.
So the SUP is not expired yet. It will expire basically almost 2 weeks from today. So basically the day after the next council meeting. So a lot of the holdup that has happened was they originally submitted for site development in February, and we were going back and forth with staff comments for them to be able to, a lot of it was between staff and fire department and just trying to see that what they were proposing would actually work on the site. They don't have water services there. They've gone from underground tanks to trying to do above ground wet detention ponds for their water service, fire prevention. They've changed a lot of the building types so that they don't have to be sprinkled. They've made a lot of changes to the plan to satisfy that staff is, at least to take them to site development, could recommend approval. And so we delayed that planning and zoning from the time of them applying for 3 months before they went through with that approval because they couldn't meet staff's comments.
Okay. If I remember correctly, because I think this was on before I got elected, how many acres was this, give or take? 8 acres? 9 acres?
9.34.
And it's scheduled to generate as much sales tax revenue as a McDonald's on that 9 acres? Property taxes? Oh, okay. So not even sales tax. And I remember going to that meeting, and I remember there being some fire concerns, not enough separation between the RV units, and water's not going to be run out there from WCID either. I'm just trying to get myself familiar with this because I think I remember this. Okay.
If anyone has a direct question, they can ask, but.
Okay. I think those are the only questions I had.
Yeah, Council Wilson?
Well, as I remember correctly, and the reason I voted for it finally was because they had corrected the firefighting ability by increasing the depth or size of one of the retention ponds. And I believe there was going to be an above-ground storage tank, which, because I talked to the fire department themselves, which they said would be adequate to fight, most fires out there. Anyway, so, I mean, I thought those questions had been answered. Are they not answered? Has something changed to where it's not?
So I would ask Shauna to answer some of this. It has been changed from underground tanks to the wet ponds. And then I know they made some other changes.
There never was an underground tank.
Yeah, they were approved. I do not believe at this point that we have received any fire protection plans. So the construction plans that were submitted, unless there were separate fire protection plans, we have not received any fire protection plans with the calculations, the engineered calculations showing that this is going to be adequate. So a concept was approved, not the actual plan itself.
Okay. What I was saying, I had a conference with the volunteer firemen who had said with the increased depth of the retention pond plus the one there's 2 ponds. And if I remember correctly, you had an above-ground tank. Wasn't there an above-ground tank on it?
So we originally, actually, the plan that was submitted last October is still pretty much in line with the same plan that we're going forward today. And that includes 2 wet ponds that were approved on a precondition basis by Shona. So Shona has actually, she's reviewed this in some detail. There are civil calculations in our permit plans that we submitted 45 days ago that show there is more than adequate enough water to support
Well, that's what I'm saying.
virtually any fire event.
Right, because I remember when I voted for it, I was told by the people that would be using it to fight the fire that there would be adequate water there on site because of the size of the retention pond, et cetera.
Shauna and Yvonne, do y'all agree with that statement that this is the same plan that was presented?
The plan that I received for site development, I'm not sure what the original SUP, what was in those plans. I believe that was the tanks. That did happen to change from the time that I came in and reviewed the site plans. Then it was the ponds. The original plans that were submitted for the SUP, which is in October, I didn't start until November.
Right.
So I don't know the details of that, but I do know that previously there were 2 tanks that were shown on those drawings that was later changed to the ponds, which was approved on concept, yes.
With all due respect,
Okay, well,
Okay.
the question was for her. Please have a seat. We'll call you if we have a question for you.
Okay, well, like I said, as I remember, it was retention ponds. And the volume
site plans
supposedly of the
was
retention ponds would be adequate to fight the fire, because that was my main concern with it, was because there was not going to be enough firefighting water available at the time, when I was assured by the volunteer firemen who had looked at that the volume would be enough, so.
Sean, I talked to you about this a little bit yesterday, and I know you told me that you felt that it met like the technical minimum requirements, but I'm sort of asking you as the fire marshal, I mean, is this something you're comfortable with, this arrangement? I mean,
I would have preferred the tanks. We have to realize that we are a volunteer fire department, and we are depending on our volunteer firefighters to first respond to this from their homes to the station and then to this location, which is quite a distance. We're also requiring the help of mutual aid, which is other cities, to bring in water if this water isn't sufficient. So in my personal opinion, I think it would be taxing for our fire department to have to deal with that with the ponds.
Okay.
Once again, I have not seen those civil, to see if they really are going to meet. The concept was approved.
okay. Okay. I have a couple things to say as well. I might have been the only person that voted against this the first time, at least the second vote. I think I might have been. And I think every objection I have still stands, and I would actually say I have further concerns at this point. This is a terrible economic development project. It is terrible. It yields no tax revenue for a city that is jurisdictionally landlocked. We cannot afford to be giving away land like this when we have zoning control over it. That is a corridor that's going to have a lot of commercial traffic. This generates minimal sales tax. The property tax value is awful. It's a bad project, and that's not just my opinion. That's the opinion of the economic development people that work. And being on the EDC, this type of development is against every single project that we are working on for economic development in this city. It is the antithesis of what we're trying to do for the city. And I opposed it on those grounds alone before, and I would urge this essentially new council to oppose it on those grounds again. But I'm also concerned about that it has been a year, and we had SUPs out here, and here we are without a lot being done. We've been asked to waive permit fees, I understand, on this project, significant permit fees for the project.
To classify every building as basically an auxiliary or an accessory, and to save over $100,000.
It does not feel like this is, that I feel like this project is being figured out as it goes along. And I think we should absolutely not approve this. I don't think we should approve it in the first place. And I hope that we as council can kind of say, we let this adventure go on long enough, and let's put it into it and work on some kind of development for this area that will be, constructive to the citizens of Dickinson. So, does anyone else have any comments or questions? Councilman Simpson.
I guess my question, kind of along the same lines, is this the highest, best use
No.
for the property? It's kind of been a running joke that Dickinson keeps getting populated with gas stations, washaterias, and RV parks. And here we are extending an SUP on, being asked to extend an SUP on RV storage.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? No. Motion fails. Moving on to item 10, executive session. Texas Local Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. Discussion with attorney regarding contemplated/pending litigation and regarding matters protected by attorney-client privilege. We will adjourn into executive session. at, wow, that early, 7:44 p.m. from executive session at 8:35 PM. Moving on to item, we have no action items from executive session. We'll move on to item 12, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Councilman Simpson, a second by Councilman Wilson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:35 PM.